Good morning. It's time for Business Breakfast in Bedhead. I'm Dawn, if we haven't met yet, and I'm so excited to talk about why you can't quit emotional discounting because this is something that's like an epidemic in the service industry. We care so much, we love our clients so much, and we feel guilty and bad about charging properly, or we feel uncomfortable when it comes to money. So, good morning and welcome. Hello. We are live on IG, we are live on YouTube. Hi, Jackie. I'm so excited to talk about this topic with you guys this morning because emotional discounting is like my jam. I love coming in with all the stuff. But first, before we get into it, I don't want to be someone talking on a screen at you. I want to be talking with you. So go ahead and say hello and put your name and where you're tuning in from this morning so that I can get to know you and that you can get to know each other. So name where you're tuning in from. If this is your first time to Business Breakfast in Bedhead, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. And I'm so honored that you're spending this time with me because emotional discounting, I mean, if you haven't been here before, you're in for a treat. I go off on tangents. We have a lot of fun, but we like dive into the nitty gritty of business and why we sabotage, why we hold ourselves back, and why we lack the confidence to move forward. So go ahead, put your name, where you're tuning in from, put new. If this is your first time to one of my lives, I want to make sure to welcome you. I want to make sure everyone else can welcome you. And if you're enjoying this, go ahead. Hi, Ashley. Hi. Hello, Michelle. Hi, Victoria. Hi, Lila. Hello, everyone. Amber. Oh, I'm so excited. So if you guys didn't know already, these lives are now being put on the podcast. So if you miss a live, you can't attend a live, you can always go listen to it on the Anxious Creative Podcast. So let's talk about emotional discounting because it's like a thing. How many of you guys, hi, Michelle from Calgary. How many of you guys have ever gone to charge a client? You've quoted them a price or you have your prices stated. Your client knew what the price was, and yet you go to charge them and you're like, ugh. Or let me ask this question. If someone else was collecting the money for you, do you think you would emotional discount less? Give me a yes or no in the comments. Hi, Adriana. Hi, Bree. Because before we get into this topic, because it is a touchy subject and it is something that makes people feel uncomfortable talking about money, is I want to remind you guys that this is a judgment-free zone. I want you to be able to show up here in this room real, raw, honest, and vulnerable. And the way we do that is by creating a safe space with each other. And so if you can commit to this being a safe space together, if you can commit to showing the other people in this room that you're a safe person to be around, because we're all on different parts of our journey, we're all on different levels, we're all struggling with different things. Just put a yes in the comments right now so that you can show everyone else in the room that you're a safe person to be around. Also, by you putting yes in the comments, you're kicking that inner mean girl to the curb that tells you you're not worth it. Don't ask that question. You're going to look stupid by asking that question. Don't put that thing. I want you guys to know that this is a conversation today. I want to be in a conversation with you. And the more you interact with me, and I know we've got a bunch of lurkers here because I am a lurker. I like to watch things. I don't like to take part. I like to, I made the hashtag not a lurker. The more you participate, the more you're actually going to get out of it and the more you're going to grow. And I am so honored to be able to come here. I'm coming way late this morning. Come here live with you on Instagram and with YouTube and chat with you and have a conversation with you. This isn't something that I do anywhere else. And I am so thankful for you for coming here. So thank you, all these yeses. Yes, says Britt, Ash, Driana. I love it because by showing others that you're a safe person to be around, then you're also showing yourself that you're a safe person to be around and you're able to show up real, more raw and honest and vulnerable. So first things first, yes, so many of us, when we go self-employed or when we have to charge our clients, we get weird about the money. We start thinking, what if they react? And a lot of times, just like if you've been on my lives earlier this week, I've been talking about leaning into vulnerability in our business. Is if you consider yourself a people pleaser, hi Vanity Hair, if you consider yourself a people pleaser, it's not actually you're trying to please people. Or when you think, oh, I'm giving it a discount because I care about the client, it's more likely, and tell me if this hits home or if this hurts a little bit, is you emotionally discount not to care for that person, but to negate a risky or possible negative interaction. It's not about making that person happy. It's not about giving them a gift. It's about you emotionally discount or you people please because you want to avoid a possible unpredictable interaction. You want to avoid a possible negative feeling, confrontational, conflictive interaction. And so you emotional discount. You think, oh my gosh, that's a lot more. Oh, they bought. I remember one time a client, I quoted them the price of their service, and then they bought a bunch of product. And when they bought the product, it brought their bill up to a higher amount that I felt comfortable charging, because I had this number in my head that felt like it was okay to charge, but anything above that was like not okay. And even though they bought tons of product, which brought their bill high, I felt weird about saying that number out loud and taking that money from them. So I actually discounted their service so that they could buy more product. And it was still, I used to have this thing about charging over $200. And I'm curious for you guys, if you're willing to get a little vulnerable with me today, what is that number that scares you to charge over? That if a client buys a bunch of product, or if a client adds on an extra service, or if whatever it is that you feel weird about saying and asking your client for that money, what is the number? And we all have different ones. I've asked this question a lot. Some people it's $100. Some people, depending on the service you provide, 500. I remember the first time I charged someone over $500. We had a consultation before the appointment. I quoted her for her hair color. We got to the end. I still wanted to emotional discount, even though they had agreed to the price. And then even then, I didn't even want to say the number out loud. Great hair by Gladys, 200. Yeah. And so I want you guys to really think about, why is it? Where did this number? Hi, Rachel. Where does this number come from? Britt says 300. Where have you made up this narrative? And why do you think that your client doesn't see the worth in it? Is it because you wouldn't pay more than that for your own service? Or there's a lot of different reasons why. And if you guys can actually peel back those layers of that, onion that you have, and find out why you have a hard time charging more. And if any of you guys are willing to be open and vulnerable right now, if you can come up with your why and share it in the comments, please let me know. Hi, Kiri. I hope I'm saying that right. I can't see. I should have my glasses on. My phone's too far away. I'm going live over on YouTube and here right now, and I've got my mic because this is going on the podcast. But I really want you guys to think about, why is it that you have this number that you don't like to charge over? And like I said, for years and years and years, it was over $200. I didn't like charging over $200. And so this one time my client bought like 5 different products, which made their total go way higher. And then I discounted their service. And then realizing, oh, I just wish I had someone else to take their money, because then I wouldn't discount. And I had to really sit there and go, why would someone else taking their money from them make me more confident to charge? And I had the realization of, oh my gosh, it's not the charging that I'm scared of. It's the possible look on their face. I am a hypersensitive person. So I am so sensitive. I can pick up on the tiniest of cues from people's faces. Like, oh, they kind of twitch their eye weird, or they kind of like look that way. Like, are they upset? Are they unhappy? Do they think this is not worth it? I have been someone who has walked on eggshells my entire life around the people in my life, trying to make sure that I can pacify other people's emotions. Because if I can pacify other people's emotions, then it makes the world a safer place for me. Oh, that was a hard one to really learn, right? Like learning the fact that I am hyper aware of everyone's possible, like I am like so attuned to people's emotions, not because I care and not because I want to make them happy, but I want to make the world around me a safe place. And at times in my life, it's felt volatile, it's felt unpredictable. And so I pick up on the slightest of cues. And so I miss having a receptionist to hide behind. And so having someone else take the money, I don't have to be faced with this interaction of like, were they upset? Were they unhappy? Am I I try to read into things way too much, because I've lived in a world where people, what they say, and this is sharing some of my trauma with you guys. What people say isn't what they're thinking. And I don't pick up on subtleties very well. So when people try to say things for me to read between the lines, I don't pick up on it. And so the world, as a neurodivergent person, the world has been a really confusing place for me, because you'll be like, what do you think? Yeah, I totally like it. And then you find out later that they didn't like it, or they email you later and you're like, well, I'm so confused because you said, like, why wouldn't you just be honest? I'm like quite a frank, honest person for the most part. And so it's really confusing to me, and I don't pick up on subtleties. And I know I've done this, and it's a learned behavior, is told like hoping that people pick up on the subtleties that we give out, right? We hope that people pick up on the subtleties we give out. And so we drop these little things of like, okay, pick up on it, pick up on it. And then we realize, wait, like I'm being passive aggressive. And then so we assume other people are being passive aggressive. Do you guys feel me? And so understanding, like, if you're scared to charge or you find you're emotionally discounting, One, it could be a couple of reasons. It could be like you're nervous about how people might react because you're fearful they might not think you're worth it, or you're overcharging, which I mean, in our industry and with my audience, I know a lot of you guys are actually undercharging, but there are cases of people overcharging and going, oh, I'm charging more than I should for what I'm giving. And I know it and I'm trying to get away with it. And like, I mean, my friend Sarai Spear, I don't think she's here right now, but if you guys have been following her, the Platinum Giraffe, and she's been talking about exposing the coaching industry, and it's so freaking true. There's a lot of people out there that say they're experts that have had some success with things, and you have to be. I've been kind of on this kick this year, 2022, about helping you guys become better consumers. And I know this is, I'm going on a tangent now. And I want to remind you guys, like, the more you participate in the chat, the more I make sure that I'm going the direction that's going to help you. But I want you guys to be good consumers, because there is a lot, the online world and the coaching world, especially. And that's why I don't like to call myself a coach. I call myself a mentor, because a coach is on the sidelines telling you what to do. A mentor's been where you've been and is going to walk alongside you as you do it. I'm not a coach. Do not call me a coach. Coaches coach from the sidelines, and they don't know your struggle. And I mean, the coaching industry is getting so overpopulated, and it's getting gross because everyone's a coach now, and there's no regulations, and so it's hard. And you have to become you need to learn to discern if this person's just good at marketing, and if they're actually going to be able to give you what you need. Are they going to follow through? What are the clauses of the agreement? And my biggest thing is, like, there's a lot of big promises out there, right? And when you want to make sure, I'm going to go back to emotional discounting here in a second, but there's a lot of big promises out there. And what I want you guys to really think about, if you're going to, because I really believe in working with a mentor, it has helped me skyrocket so quick and get past things. Can we do things alone? Absolutely. And I did it alone for a lot of years, and I trial and errored my way through things. But having someone who's been where you've been, that understands your struggle, is huge. And that's what I want you guys to look for. Don't look for the person with the most Instagram followers. Don't look for the person with the biggest promise. Look for someone that you admire where they are. They've struggled with similar things you're struggling with, and you can relate to them on a level with that struggle. Because a lot of times what we do is we go to learn from people that we wish we were them, but that we don't relate to. Do you guys feel me on that? And I mean, I know I have my program Rock Your Business. Oh, hi, Walter. I have my program Rock Your Business that's going to be opening up in January 9th. And I'm going to be doing a small group mentorship, deep diving into your business with you, helping you move through it, through the struggles. If you struggle with overwhelm, if you struggle with taking action, getting started, feeling like you're worth it, struggling with emotional discounting, with charging fair prices, with having conversations with your clients, knowing how to confidently move forward, wanting to get to the goal, but not knowing how to get to the goal, or struggling or fearing that you're not worth it. I want to invite you. I'm doing this 6-week series right now and helping you build your business that's long-term sustainable in a way that removes the stress and anxiety and doubt from your mind, helping you move past the fear, because fear, it's not about removing fear. So many of us are stuck in this, I'll wait till the fear goes away because fear tells me that there's danger present. Fear is there to show you that there's interest and there's skin in the game. When like fear and nerves are very similar things. And if you're not a little bit nervous, if there's no risk, then you're likely not going to push forward. If there's not the possibility of a loss, that's the definition of risk. The best thing about having you as a mentor is how relatable you are, and you're not afraid to give a little tough love. Yes. Oh, Michelle. Yeah, there's Walter. Michelle, you need to get your butt over here and hang out. If you guys need if you're in Calgary and you need an amazing photographer of Michelle, like, I feel like I'm going to butcher it. What is your photography specialty? I want to say like commercial photography, like spaces, places, and things. I don't know, but check out MJ Photography, and she's way better than I was able to just say right there. But hi Mel, I really want you guys to think about, what is it that's holding you back? Is it the lack of confidence? Because here's the thing, it's, you don't actually lack confidence. I want to do some tough love, because I know Dree, just like we all respond. And I want you to know that everything I do comes from a place of kindness, compassion, empathy. I'm trying to push you forward and get past those excuses and those things that are keeping you safe. And I understand wanting to stay safe, because there's been times in our lives that the world has felt scary and really unsafe. And so when it comes to other places where we get that similar feeling of unsafeness, we want to stay small. We want to stay safe, because we have been in situations that have nothing to do with business, that have nothing to do with what you're wanting to do, but that feeling of unsafeness, unsafety, I don't know, risk is scary. And that's why I want to be with you along these next 6 weeks as we go from 2022 into 2023. This is a really special time. So many times people just kind of like forget about everything right now. Now, I mean, it's a busy season, and I don't want you to be spending tons and tons of time on your business right now either. I want you to be able to enjoy the season, but I don't want you to wait until January to get started. And the thing is what people often struggle with is they're like, I'm not doing enough. I'm not being enough. I need to do some big grandiose action to get me where I want to go. And I will beat this analogy to its death. But if you're trying to get up a staircase, you don't go from the bottom to the top in one step. You don't even go halfway up in one step. We go one step at a time and it feels really insignificant. And you need to start taking small, insignificant steps forward. But I know what I do. I stand there at the bottom and going, well, that's not that big of a deal. I could do that. Look at that person doing that. I could totally do that. And I don't freaking do it because I think I know I could do it. And I'm waiting for something to be hard because for some reason, my self-worth and self-esteem, I struggle with so much that I think the only way that I'm worth something if it's really hard and gritty. I want you to start leaning into the ease of things and start trusting that things can be easy and things can come to you in an easy way. And mantras, I mean, I'm woo-woo-y, but there's also, if you guys want a podcast about manifestation from a neuroscientist, oh my gosh, it's so good because I am all about science-backed things. I am like woo-woo to the point of like, I really believe our brains are powerful things. And this lady who was on this podcast, I forget her name right now, but she's a neuroscientist that talks about the power of manifestation from a scientific perspective. And I freaking love it. And if you want the link, just send me a DM and I'll send it to you. But I want you guys to start realizing that it's not just your actions that get you places, it's your belief. And honestly, you've got to start there. And if you're unwilling to do some of the things of like, writing, I'm a big deal and I can do hard things on a Post-it note, or what other people think of me is none of my business, or whatever mantras, I think they're right here in my wallet. I still have my mantras in my wallet that I wrote. Where are they here? Maybe I don't have them. Maybe I pulled them out for something and misplaced them. But I did them. It's got to be like over 9 years ago now. I have all these pictures. Do you guys want to see like a hilarious picture of me and my brothers? That's when I was 21. I look like I'm like 45 there. I don't know where my mantras are right now, but I have them in a safe place somewhere, and I look at them often because they remind me of who I am and where I'm going and where I want to be. Oh, here they are. Here they are. So I wish I would have put the year on this, but I remember this was like 2014. And these are my mantras. And as cheesy as they are, they make such a big difference. And so I want you guys, what other people think of me is none of my business. I still need to remind myself of that one. Especially when people when I know there's people out there or people who have misrepresented me and other people think things about me that aren't true. All I want to do is go tell them it's not true. But what other people think of me is none of my business. Be kind and compassionate. Listen more, talk less. Prioritize myself. I can't make everyone happy. And I put think before I speak. This is before I knew I had ADHD. But I want you guys to think of some things that will remind you every day and start there. And I know it seems, but like, if you're not into it or you're like, Dawn, that's too cheesy, or it doesn't seem like that big of a thing, or it doesn't seem like enough, stop thinking. When you think that's not enough to do, I need something more, go do the thing that you don't think is enough. You will get to where you want. If you want to quit emotionally discounting, and I say today, well, then go write down on a Post-it note and put it on a mirror where you will see it every single day and speak it out loud to yourself. I am worth the full price of what I charge and people are happy to pay me. Write that down. I am worth the full charge, the full amount I charge and people are happy to pay me. And I want you to write it down and read it every morning and say it out loud. And if you're like, well, that's not going to stop me from emotionally discounting, prove me wrong. Just do it. Try it for a week. Try it for 2 weeks. It's really small and it's insignificant. Do you want to hear the craziest story ever? Is my student Heather wrote down her daily goal for services and retail on a Post-it note and put it in her salon. That's all she did. And she hit her goal for 2 weeks straight. I'll have to check in with her to see if she's still doing that. Hi, exactly what I need to hear this morning. Hi, Chelsea. I'm so glad that's what you needed to hear. And so I want you guys to go and do something insignificant that's going to take you one step up the ladder, one step up the staircase. Stop thinking, oh, that's too little. I'm better than that. And if you're really honest, that's what we do. I mean, I'll be honest, and there's been times where I'm like, "Oh, that's for amateurs. I'm beyond that." I would never say that out loud. I mean, I'm sharing it with you guys right here and right now because I've been talking this week about being vulnerable. And if you want to hear a really, really vulnerable story, go check out my podcast this week. Oh my God. My phone recorded voice to text while I was telling my mom a story about a friend that was not mine to tell, and then it texted it to my friend. Yikes. And I had to own it. And it was hard. I just wanted to run away from it. And I wanted to make up a story and try to tell my friend this other story to convince myself that that's what really happened so that I wouldn't shame myself and feel bad and that I could convince her that I wasn't a horrible person or that I had. But this is the thing. The actions that we do not make us horrible people. Their actions are horrible. We aren't horrible. Shame is a funny, funny thing. But once we start to think that we're above something or doing something, it's a slippery slope, my friend. And I've been there. And I was actually having a conversation with a student of mine recently where they were like, "Oh, it's so hard because I want to like contribute because I like know I could help these people." And I was like, "Is it that you want to contribute and help? Or is this feeling of like, I could do that, I could have that, I know, like, look at this." And it's this pride and ego of thinking, well, I could totally do and be this and help them. But like, why haven't you? And when we start to like make friends with our ego and our pride and start to see how they show up in sneaky ways that convince us that it's not ego and pride or that it's that we're like, "Oh, I'm just being like a wonderful person." When we're like, "Oh no, it's my freaking ego thinking I'm better than this." We get a serving of humble pie, and when that voice to text message sent to my friend, I opened my phone and went, "Oh, I didn't press send on my last text." Press send, and then I realized my body instantly started shaking. I don't wanna give away the whole podcast because you should go listen to it. But, like, I went into shock, and I went down a deep spiral of self-deprecation. I kept going, "I'm the worst person in the world, I'm the worst person in the world," and I thought I was gonna lose my friend because I was like, "Wow, that just exposed a side of me that I work so hard to remove." And that's the thing, we all have. I mean, I know you guys know my lives would go off on tangents. We're not even talking about emotional discounting anymore. But there is a side of you that you try to hide so much because it's a side of you don't like. Call it your shadow side, your ego, whatever it is. And there's parts of you that you don't like because we're human and we make mistakes. But the moment you can start to go, "Okay, this part of me exists and I hate it." And that's why, like, I talk about having a judgment-free zone where we can show up with kindness, compassion, and empathy because I've really struggled in the past with being really judgmental. And I'm not as judgmental as I used to be, but there's still moments of it that I'm like, "Ooh, I don't like that. I don't like why am I like, why did I go there?" I can be petty and I can be bitter, and I don't like that, and I would never want you guys to see or experience that with me, but I'd be lying if I didn't say that part of me didn't exist, right? And so the moment that we can start to, like, accept the shitty sides of us and accept the parts of us that we don't like and realize it is part of me, it's not a separate entity, then we can start to make room for it to be there rather than fighting against it. Because the more you try to make something not be there, the more it's going to consume you. The more you try to not emotionally discount, the more you're going to start to see that you're discounting people all over the place. The more you don't stand up for the business, the more you're going to get taken advantage of. The more you blame your clients for being the issue, the more you're going to keep allowing these things to happen. When are you going to stand up for yourself? When are you going to say enough's enough? When are you going to say, "Hey, I can't come in on my day off anymore"? And it's not about it, you got to stop diverting the frustration and the bitterness towards your clients and start realizing, I'm teaching people how to treat me. I teach people how to treat me, and I'm the only one who can stop people from treating me this way. I need to stop being a victim to my circumstance. I need to stop making myself the victim in this over and over and over again. It feels good to be the victim because then we're not responsible. My clients take advantage of me. My clients keep texting me all the time. My clients keep asking me to come in on my day off. My client keeps asking for a fix that's not a fix. Why do you allow it? And I say that with so much love and compassion because I've been there and it's frustrating. And when you're so deep into it, you're like, how the hell do I get out of this? Because it has gotten to this place and I've allowed it to get to this place. And how do I turn this bus around? And I always joke about the best way to do it is just to pack up and move to a new city like I did in 2014. It's not the easiest way and it'll follow you. It followed me. I remember thinking, I'm going to move to Calgary from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan to Calgary, Alberta. It's a bigger city. People are going to be more respectful. It's more metropolitan. Wherever you go, there you are. If you think it's everybody else, it's likely you. Oh, and I know that's so not what you want to hear. And so if you feel like your clients disrespect you or your clients take advantage of you or your coworkers or you always have bosses or it's always this and why does this always happen to me? I mean, and there is a situation in my life right now that it's like, why do I keep ending up in this situation? Well, why the freak do I continue to let it happen? Why do I allow it? Why do I make allowances? Why am I not putting my foot down? I want you guys to know that I'm speaking to myself just as much as I'm speaking to you, and it's freaking hard. It is not easy work, and I am alongside you in this work. I want you to know that I'm doing this work actively in my own life. I did a run last night on Peloton, which if you guys have a Peloton tread or you have the app, like I love it. And it's called Your Future Selves. And it was with Ashton Kutcher and Alex Toussaint and Bex. I don't know her last name. And they were talking about showing up as your future self. And I got into this whole thing about this about something else. And now I've forgotten what I was going to share with you guys. But honestly, like we teach people how to treat us and trying to teach people to treat us differently is hard. And you likely will lose people in your life because people who benefited from you not having boundaries are going to have a really hard time being okay with your boundaries. And here's the thing is what we often think is like, oh, I'm going to set these boundaries and it's going to be so good and it's going to be healthy for me. And people are going to be happy for me that I'm putting myself first and they're going to praise me. No, people who benefited from you not having boundaries are going to be pissed. And they're not going to understand because everyone is going through around the world looking out from their own eyes, meaning they are the main character of their own show. No one's thinking about you first. Everyone's thinking about themselves first. And if you've convinced yourself, but Dawn, I'm a people pleaser and I put everybody first. No, you are putting yourself first in people pleasing. And let me tell you why. Do you want to hear this? This is hard. You are putting yourself first by people pleasing because you are trying to control how people react and respond. It is not about pleasing the other person. It is not about making sure that they're happy. It is about pacifying them and making sure they respond to you in a way that you have control and predictability over. Ooh, does that one sting a little? People pleasing isn't about making other people happy. It's about creating a predictable response from people. And so you're still putting yourself first because you're trying to control your world around you. Love that quote. Everywhere you go, there you are. Yes. And so I want you guys to start taking wild responsibility over your lives and your future. And I know it's scary, but I'm also a control freak. And yet I'm a control freak when I want to be. But when it's something that I don't want to be in control of, I make it other people's issue, right? Like, Dawn, I couldn't charge that much. I have students that live in small towns that have raised their prices over $80 a service and not lost clients because I teach them how to maneuver through it and communicate and do it confidently and have their clients on board with it. I want you to know that if you're like, but I can't, or I wouldn't, or I shouldn't, or I won't be able to, then you won't. You won't, absolutely. But I would love to be able to help you get past that idea that you can't, shouldn't, won't, or nobody else is. Good. If nobody else is, that is the perfect opportunity for you to do something. But if you can't if you can't even think it's possible for me, then I don't come here. But if you have this tiny glimmer of like, you know what, I think it is possible, or I could, or I've seen someone similar to me do it. I'm just scared. I don't know where to start. Great. Welcome to the club. Come join me. I go live weekday mornings, 8 a.m.-ish. I started way late. It was like more like 9 o'clock this morning to help us move together through this. I want you guys to know I don't think I'm above you. I may be 1 or 2 steps ahead of you. And now I'm still continuing to practice this stuff. It is not about arriving at a place. It is not about getting to a place where I don't struggle with these things anymore and I just help you. I continue to struggle with these things, but I lean into it because here's the thing, that anxiety and that stress you feel is always in the anticipation of. Once you push yourself and jump in feet first, it's not as scary anymore. Anticipation is what kills us and not taking wild responsibility over our lives and our futures. I get that there are circumstances and societal things that come into play that affect our ability for success and moving forward. And there are different, classes and things like that affect us. But I want you to start taking wild responsibility over your life. Most of the people that are most hugely successful in life weren't handed things. The people that are handed things generally aren't the most successful. They may look successful, but the people who've done the work themselves. So know that the beauty is in the work. Are you guys with me on this? Are you enjoying this morning? How are you receiving it? It's a quiet chat today, and I hope you're just soaking it up because I want you to know. And like the reason why I do this and the reason why I go live every weekday morning and the reason why we're putting it on the podcast and making it more accessible to you is because I don't want you to have to struggle with the things that I've struggled with. I don't want you to continue for as long as I did thinking I was a victim when really I was too scared to stand up for myself. I want you guys to be able to move past the shit that it took me so freaking long to move past and the years of therapy to move past. I want to be help you bypass that. And the thing is that the reality is we can't bypass anything. I want to help you get through it. Hi, Beauty by Heather. I want to help you get through it faster. We can't avoid things. Stop looking for a trick, tip, or hack to avoid. It's going through. That's the answer. It's going through courageously with fear, being scared, but you don't have to do it alone. Okay? Be brave and courageous. I know you don't feel like you can. I know you feel like you can't, but I know there's something in you that you want more. I mean, how do you guys feel right now about taking, a big courageous step and saying like, what's your goal for next year? Is it wanting to spend more time with your family? Is it wanting to work less hours? Is it wanting to start saying no to clients more? Is it wanting to have better boundaries with yourself? Is it wanting to make 6 figures? Put in the chat right now, what is your goal? Even if it scares you, I want your goals to scare you a little bit. When I used to I wasn't a track and field person, but when you're like forced to do track and field in elementary school, and I remember them because I always came in second last. It's a weird thing. Second last always. But I remember them teaching us for like the 100-meter sprint was don't aim for the finish line because you will inadvertently slow down as you approach the finish line. You need to aim beyond the finish line so that you go past that finish line at your fastest. And that's how they teach people. Do not look at the finish line, look past, aim past the finish line. And so if your goals don't scare you, you're not putting a big enough goal. A goal isn't there necessarily to achieve. And I know that seems like so counterintuitive, and I'm waiting for you guys to put your goals in the chat. I know you can do this. I've got you. Remember, this is a safe space. I want you to know that you are safe to share in here. If your goals don't scare you a little bit, they're not big enough and your goals aren't there. That's why I coach my students to think good, better, best. Because good is a good place. Good is good, but I want you to aim for best. I want you to have a goal that pushes you beyond the finish line so that you zoom by that first goal. Ain't no thing. You don't even notice it, right? It's not about actually hitting the goal. It's about the act and getting to it. It's not about arriving. You're never going to arrive, friend. You're not going to get to a place where you just get to coast. And I continually keep thinking and trying to trick myself into finding the most efficient way to get something done so that I don't actually have to do the thing. I like strategizing. I like coming up with ideas because that keeps me safe than actually going and doing. And I was sharing yesterday with some of my students. So someone was saying like, I am always trying to find a more efficient way to do things. And I shared this. So a really efficient way to get new clients would be to post on Instagram all the time because then more people are going to be able to see it. Efficiency, post on Instagram, use the hashtags, do all the tricks, ticks, and trips, hacks to get in front of as many people. That's really efficient. But you know what's really tedious? Getting in your DMs, going and commenting, creating connections. That's tedious. But what do you think is going to have the better result in building your clientele? Continuing to post on Instagram so you have a higher chance in being in front of more people, or actually building relationships and doing the tedious work? Efficiency isn't always the answer. And I know that's hard. Efficiency isn't always the answer. Sometimes it's in the tedious work that gets you the thing you want the most. Oh, we got YYC counseling in the house. Okay. I'm looking at moving. My mic doesn't here. Hold on. I'm looking at moving salons soon. I feel stuck where I am and I want to grow and get serious about my career. Strict on cancellation policies and no more emotional discounting, but I'm nervous about it. Well, Beauty by Heather Burns, you're in the right place. I'm curious, what is making you nervous about it? I have a super strict cancellation policy and I have a whole program about policies and communication and boundaries. It's called Rock Your Consultation. I think, Heather, are you already in Rock Your Business? I feel like you are. But if you're nervous about it, let me know what it is that you're nervous about. And Heather, would you want to go live right now? We can talk through this on live. Jackie, okay, these are your goals. Charge my prices in confidence and building a 6-figure business. Yeah, girl, you're going to get it 110%. I know you are. Okay, Heather says, "Do you have any opinions on online booking, specifically with Gloss Genius?" I think there's so many good softwares out there for online booking. Just pick one. Every single one is going to have one little thing about it that makes it unique and good. And you're going to be like, why can't they all amalgamate together and just be one giant thing? I don't know. It's silly. I wish there was just only one. But honestly, we keep ourselves trapped in the planning. Oh, you have to go to work soon. If anyone has a question, put it in the question box. If you want to go live, just request live and I'll bring you live and we'll do some coaching, mentoring. I don't like coaching. But so many times we go like, well, which one we get? How many indecisive people are in the room right now? Out of the 11 of you here with me, put a yes in the comments if you would say you're an indecisive person. And it is so safe to keep myself in the, I'm going to research this. I'm going to research this. Oh, let me, you know what? I just want to make sure I make a wise business decision. So let me research it more. Oh, you know what? I just want to, this is the responsible thing to do. You guys, I mean, I feel like you might have just seen I'm wearing like tiny shorts right now. And we think, and then we start to convince ourselves, well, this is me being a responsible business owner by continuing to look at it. Things like online schedulers, you can change. It's not a forever decision. So stop. I'm an indecisive person, Dre. Yeah, I know that. Why are you in my head? Haha. Stop thinking like, yeah, signing a lease somewhere, that's a bigger decision that you want to make sure, you look over the pros and cons and then just make a decision. The thing is like not making a decision is making a decision and it's giving up control. Kind of, it's making you feel like you not making a decision. That's you putting yourself as a victim when really not making a decision is a decision. Whatever the outcome of not making a decision is the choice that you're making. But we like to try to not have responsibility because then if something goes bad, then like, I didn't decide, I just didn't do anything. And we want to be an innocent bystander. I want you to start taking wild responsibility over your life, knowing that you're going to fail, knowing that things aren't going to turn out the way you want them to always. And it sucks. And there's no way to give you 100% guarantee of how it's going to work out. But when you take wild responsibility over your life and your choices, then you get to dictate how you move forward and you no longer have to pass the buck or pass the blame. Some things are not your fault, but your life is still your responsibility. If you get rear-ended by someone at a red light, that's not your fault, but it's your responsibility to go take your car in and get fixed. Or are you going to sit at home and be like, well, it's not my fault, so I'm not going to drive because my car's not drivable. It's not my fault. And that's what we do in our lives and our businesses. We go, it's not my fault. Yeah, you know what? This is life. It sucks and it's not fair. And I wish it could be. And I have pity parties for myself all the freaking time. This isn't fair. I shouldn't have to deal with this. This isn't my burden to bear. Why am I the victim of other people's shitty decisions? I don't know why life is like that. And I don't know why business is like that. But if you just continue to do that way, that's going to suck and you're going to continue to be a victim and your life's not going to get better and you're going to feel justified. But like, where's that going to get you? Nowhere. It might give you a pat on the back and a hug from someone every once in a while, but it's not going to get you to where you want to be. And I wish it could be another way. I really do. I really, 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 I continually wake up every morning hoping it would be different, that it'll change, that the fault will then become the responsibility for the other people, but it's just not the case. And the only way to get out of it is stop making yourself the victim. It sucks. You can be a victim to circumstance. You can be a victim to other people's situations, but become an overcomer instead. Be an overcomer with me. Let's fight together. Let's go after what we want, right? Words I now live by. I have to leave, but I'm back. Oh, good. So I want you guys to just think about like, shitty things are going to happen. Once you get, lots of times we go to an event or we're on a live and we get on this high and we're like, yes, I'm going to do it. I know I'm capable. I know I'm worth it. Fear doesn't get to make the decision. It gets the back seat. It gets to be present. And we're like, and because I have all this now, it's just going to be smooth sailing. There are going to be speed bumps, roadblocks, and detours that come up. And it's how you approach those things that's going to set you apart from the rest. Because if you're in your car and you hit a detour, if you look on Google Maps and you're like, okay, sweet, that's how I'm going to go. It's predictable. It's smooth sailing. It's going to be great. I feel confident about getting where I'm wanting to go. And then all of a sudden you start driving and you hit a detour and you're like, I'm sorry, this wasn't on the maps. This wasn't supposed to be here. Do you stop your car and sit there and go, well, I'm just going to wait till this opens up because this is the way I was going to go. And this is how I was going to do it. And this is how I planned it. And this wasn't supposed to happen. And this wasn't supposed to be here. So you park your car and you wait till the detour goes away, which could be weeks, months. That's what we do in our lives and businesses, which is silly. No, what you do is when there's a detour, we go, oh crap, this sucks. This isn't what I wanted to do. Now I have to turn around and go this other way, and it's going to take longer, and it's not as nice. It's uphill. It's annoying. But what's your other option? To stay there and complain about it. You're going to get detours on your way to where you're going. Success is not about finding the plan and the confidence only. It's about how you deal with the speed bumps, roadblocks, and detours that come your way. That is what separates you from the rest. It's not the skill. It's not the talent. You've got that already, so stop beating yourself up. It's not that other people are lucky. Get tenacious. Get stubborn. Get scrappy. Be willing to do it messy. Take messy, immediate, imperfect action. Take messy, immediate, imperfect action. Be willing to suck. Be willing to be humble. Be willing to have to go back to square one. There's no shame in that game. It's your own shame that you're giving yourself, right? So I want you guys to think about that now and to think about that moving forward. And I want you to do this exercise with me right now. If you can, if you're not in your car or whatever, close your eyes and picture the person you want to be a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Think of the confidence that person has, their ability to take brave, bold steps forward despite fear being present, how decisive they are with making decisions. Think about that. And like, I want you to feel it in your body of that person you're going to be and you want to be and you're going to become, and feel how they carry themselves different, how they make decisions differently, how they deal with failures differently, how they deal with conflict and confrontation differently, how they have this assuredness of themselves and who they are and their worth. That's the person you want to be and you're going to become. And that person a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, I want you to invite them into November 29th, 2022, right here and now, and bring them here and bring them into your body right now, and feel how good it feels to have that confidence with you right now. And I want you to live out today as your future self. And I want your future self right now, I want you to say to your future self, I want your future self to say to your present self, thank you for what you're going through right now and how you're handling it. Because without the struggle you're currently facing, without the things that you're working through right now, I can't become me. So let your future self thank your present self for the current things that you're going through and working through. And I want you to practice that right now, today, and tomorrow, and try to make it a daily practice of thanking for your future self, thanking your present self for the way they're handling situations today, for the failures and mess ups, the humility and the honesty and the courageousness, despite falling flat on their face, because that is what is allowing that future person to become real. You guys are amazing. Thank you for coming live. We went live late today. If you missed this live, you can go rewatch it over on YouTube, or you can listen to it tomorrow on the Anxious Creative Podcast. We have episodes. Every Monday is a brand new episode on the Anxious Creative. And then Tuesday through Saturday are my replays of my morning lives here on Instagram. But you are welcome back here every weekday morning, 8 a.m.-ish. I started about an hour late this morning, but 8 a.m.-ish. Weekday mornings here on IG. And I want you to come and bring your questions, bring your concerns, bring your situations. I want to help you live on these calls. Invite your friends. If you find value out of this, share my profile with people, share the podcast with people. Let's get more people on board taking wild responsibility over our lives and circumstances, moving forward despite our anxiety, despite our stress, despite our overwhelm, our executive dysfunction, moving past it courageously and bravely together, linking arm in arm, and showing the world that we're a professional industry and we deserve respect. And the way we're going to do that is by respecting ourselves first. You guys are amazing. I love you. Stay weird. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Bye, YouTube.